This is J.R. Fibonacci, and this piece is called Expectations and the End of Shame. This audio is designed to be listened to while you read along with the blog and see the pictures on the blog, so you can click the blog link to make sure you're looking at those pictures if you'd like to. Expectations. Expectations are natural and inevitable. If you expect to eventually be free of all expectations, that is itself an expectation, but a very unrealistic one, to expect to be free of all expectations. Well, expectations are natural and inevitable, and it's also naturally inevitable to focus attention on the subject of expectations. That focus on expectations can lead, naturally and inevitably, to developing an awareness and acceptance of how expectations work. A new developing of awareness is what you have available to you right now in this presentation. And the result that is possible now is a new expectation for you of the future, one you may have never expected or perhaps even considered before, an end to the personal experience of shame. A clarity about confusion. First, how do you expect things to work? How do you expect things to work? How do you come to create expectations? Next, have things ever worked differently than you already expected? In other words, have you ever been surprised by something? Have you ever learned anything at all? Ever? When you learn something, what is it that you actually learn? You learn to form an expectation, right? If you've ever learned anything, then you recognize that you do not begin with expectations. They come over time. They experience, expectations form over time from experience. Expectations form over time based on experience, based on perceptions, sensations, interpretations. Expectations can also change. As experience changes, as interpretations change, expectations change. They can even be retracted or withdrawn. I can have a certain expectation that I dismiss or discard. We eventually notice sequences of sensations, like patterns of cause and effect. One thing, then another. One thing, then a different thing, right? When I say one thing, you expect me to then say something besides one thing. I don't say one thing and then the same thing. Now I say one thing and then something else. That's a sequence. And expectations are happening all the time, all over the place. One thing and then the same thing and then the same thing, because then it's an expectation. But at first it's one thing, then another thing. And then it's one thing and then the same other thing. And then that first same thing, then that first same second thing, or that, wait a minute, I said it wrong. The first thing you have once, and then the second thing you have again, and then the first thing twice, and the second thing twice, and the first thing 3 times, and that effect 3 times. You start to notice a pattern, cause and effect, a sequence. For instance, we see a flash of lightning. Then we wait, as we expect to hear the rumbling crash of thunder, right? Because there was lightning, and now you've come to expect thunder soon after lightning, right? Right. When we expect something, but then it does not arise, that can be confusing. In other words, expectations are the source of confusion. If there's no expectation, then how could anyone ever be confused that the expected effect did not arise? First, there's the one thing, then the other thing. We come to expect it, and then when we have the first thing and not the other thing, then we're confused. We're curious. Not just curious. We're confused. Okay, wait a minute. This isn't just odd like curious. Well, maybe it is just odd like curious, but it's really odd. It's actually surprising, right? Not just unexpected, but it's in contrast to a specific expectation. It's not just a surprise, it's actually the absence of something I did expect. So I'll review 3 kinds of confusion with you now. First is confusion about the present. Until there's confusion about the present, there can be no confusion about the past or the future. So the first thing we got to do, or the next thing we got to do, is create some confusion about the present. So then we can explore confusion about the past and future. Right? The past and fusion. The past and future. Slow down. Just take a breath. Have you been taking breaths all along? Okay, take another breath. Okay.